Um, Obama was clear who he was when he was a senator. If you go back to when he was the president of the Harvard Review, how he got that job, he was a facilitator and a compromiser from day one. I watched him debate McCain, and somebody asked him if he was, McCain accused him of being pro-single payer. He recoiled in horror at being accused of even being pro-single payer. Obama from the beginning said, as soon as I get in office, we are going to go into Afghanistan. He's not a disappointment. He is a corporate politician, bought and sold like everyone else along the line. The difference between him and Bush is party. It's marketing. But Obama, you say that he didn't want to win me over. His campaign won Advertising Age's Brand of the Year in 2008. He wanted to win us all over. So I'm sorry I don't buy that. And when it comes to saying that, I don't know about the arc of justice, and I agree. I.F. Stone once said, if you want to see the answers to your activism in your lifetime, you haven't asked a big enough question. I understand. I'm not sitting here saying that we need answers tomorrow, but I'm sitting here saying you don't hear ever from someone in Washington talking about the ecocide, the destruction of our environment, that goes beyond individual laws and battles on Wall Street. That if the other day, if they passed single payer, if they passed it and we were all now completely covered, it wouldn't put a fish back in the ocean, a tree back on the planet, it wouldn't take any of the pesticides out, it wouldn't take, there are such huge issues that we have to deal with that it doesn't even exist, the people in Washington. And is Obama afraid of being assassinated? Maybe as a black man, not as a radical. I find that impossible to believe. And the same goes back, if you go back to Clinton's record and all, the great myth is that it so serves the purpose of the propaganda to believe that Clinton and Obama and even all the way back to JFK were such radical leftists that the right wing were up in fury. They just were convinced of that. You look at the truth speaks for itself. The action forms priorities. That you recognize whatever Obama is doing is what we're going by. I can't read his mind. I agree. I can't read his mind. But it's even worse if we were to find out that he is home reading this book, or just saying I can't get to it now. I find that even more despicable. Then why'd you even run for president? Because he's just saying I'm going to get in office and I'm going to follow the same patterns that all my predecessors did. So I think my point here is injecting a sense of urgency. Not saying that it has to happen tomorrow, not idealism, but recognizing the power that we have and not making excuses that Obama only had 1 year or this or that. He reneged on all his promises just like Clinton did as soon as he got into the office. It's part of the game. If you're running for office as a Democrat, you have to say, you follow a script. You say certain things, the Republican says certain things, everybody goes up in arms, the election happens, and then they all do the same thing.
Well, neither do I want to imply that he is the savior. It is up to us, after all.
I talk a lot to people, to individual people, about, especially for elections, and we talk about choices. And it always comes down to people either choosing A or B, either Republican or Democrat. Very few people get into this thing where they start thinking in terms of, wait a minute, what else is out there? The only hope that I see is that the number of registered independents is higher than it's ever been. It's far more than registered Republicans, and it's approaching registered Democrats. So I'm hoping, and this idea that whatever party is in power is the enemy, and we want to throw them out.
Yeah.
You know, if there are 300 Democrats and 200 Republicans next year, there'll be just the reverse, because we'll throw them all out. Because I think that's the only, that's the solution, is to throw them all out.
Yeah.
And start thinking and expanding our minds. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who can't think past, I only have Republican and Democrat to think about. And they won't pressure the National League of Women Voters and anybody else who decides who gets into that.
Yeah,
so the chicken and the egg, what comes first? You know, we're not going to allow you to be in the debate and give you exposure because you don't have enough calling. You don't have enough calling because you don't have enough exposure.
Yeah. Or money. No, it's not an accident that we only see two parties when more parties exist. If everybody who truly believed in hope and change in 2008 pulled the lever for either Ralph Nader or Cynthia McKinney, they would have created the Second American Revolution. 70 or 80 million eligible voters in 2008 didn't vote. Now, I think Obama won with about 60 million. 80 million didn't vote. They were eligible voters. They didn't even show up. I could have run and won in a landslide. 80 million people. So that there is a huge audience to tap into there. And so it almost comes to the point where you leave behind the people who won't see past it. But the first trick, and perhaps that's what I try and do with writing and so on, is shining the light on the Wizard of Oz over there, saying, you know, it's saying the emperor has no clothes. It's saying that there isn't just, there aren't two parties. There's one party, but there's all these other parties that are offering something else. It doesn't mean they're perfect, but it would shake the foundations of this country if all of a sudden, never mind win, but if Cynthia McKinney would have got 20% of the vote in 2008, the foundations would have been. How did that happen? And it can happen. It happens in other countries. You know, a country like Haiti, they have the earthquake. Everybody feels sorry for them for a couple of months. Now they forgot all about them, and poor people, they can't take care of them. They're not poor by accident. They were the most resource-rich country in the hemisphere for centuries. But in 1991, they could have taught us a lesson in secrecy. There was after the Duvalier family was out, a guy named Marc Bazin was running for president in Haiti, and he was propped up by the World Bank. And the United States didn't even focus on it because it was like a slam dunk he was going to win. Well, the Lavalas party organized, and 67% of the people voted for Jean-Bertrand Aristide and took over, and the People's Guy won. Now, of course, the United States promptly tossed him out in a coup. But we look down our nose at third world countries. Look at that lesson. 67% won an election that the U.S. didn't even see coming with all our resources. So at some level, you have to believe that we can do it, but the first step, I think, is recognizing that the game is rigged. And then you say, all right, let's change the game. I once used an analogy. People were talking about Obama, and I said, let's say theoretically Obama was named the coach of the New York Knicks. Now the Knicks suck, so now suddenly he's there. Let's say they get a little bit better. But the thing is this, they're still playing basketball. They're still shooting, they're still passing, they're still doing picks and rolls. The game hasn't changed. So what we need is a new game. Like, we need to recognize this game is a farce. And it serves the purpose of the top maybe 2% in this country, on maybe 0.1% of the planet. And if we could see past that, then maybe we could take the action that we need to take. And I don't know if it's going to have to get worse environmentally before people get scared into taking action. But we have enough creature comforts in this country and enough separation between us and what's really happening that it works. It works. The system works. But at some point, it's going to crumble.